Hello and welcome to a new video. We recently got changes to our Mystic Enchants with the latest balance update for World of Warcraft Bronzebeard. One of those changes affects our Execution Sentence build, and in this video I will show you how to play Execution Sentence in the current phase and if it's worth to play this build compared to other options. So let's dive in. The recent big balance update honestly nerfed Paladins because of the changes to Libram of Amphibious and Sword of Enchants, but they also adjusted a few of our underused Mystic Enchants. With this, Holy Templar and Execution Sentence, two of our legendary playstyle options, were affected. Execution Sentence got buffed with an adjustment to its spell category. It's no longer a spell, it now counts as a melee ability. Because of this, it can't miss anymore if you have 8% hit. As a ret, you can't cap out on spell hit, and that's why it missed a lot before. It now also deals double damage when it critically strikes. Those are good changes, but is it enough? Well, to be honest, playing as Twistedin is still way better than Execution Sentence. The changes are just not good enough to make this playstyle really comparable to the single target or cleave damage of Twist of Faith. This build relies a lot on Judgment and Crusader Strike in combination with Execution Sentence, but those abilities don't hit hard enough to be real competitors against Twist of Faith. But if you're not into twisting and if you just want to have fun, I will now show you how to play Execution Sentence on Bronzebeard. For Mystic Enchants, we want to go with Execution Sentence as our legendary Mystic Enchant. This allows us to get access to the spell Execution Sentence, which is a big hammer which falls down, causing a lot of holy damage after 10 seconds. All the damage you do while this hammer is active culminates in a final burst of damage and deals a lot of damage to the main target and splash damage to targets around the main target. Also, while this is active, if you use Judgment, the cooldown gets halved. This means our Judgment cooldown reduces from 8 seconds to 4 seconds. For our epic Mystic Enchants, I use Sword of Enchants. This is a really powerful Mystic Enchant in this build because after 5 stacks of Seal of Enchants, you do extra damage every time you judge. As you know, we judge way more often in this build, so we get way more value out of this Mystic Enchant, and it also splashes the damage to cleave damage around the main target. For our second epic Mystic Enchant, I go with Crusade of the Light. As always, this is basically mandatory for every build as a Retribution Paladin. After 12 auto attacks or melee abilities like Crusader Strike, which we also use a lot in this build, you get an Hand of Justice bonus attack after 12 attacks, and you also reduce the cooldown of your wings by 10 seconds every time, so our highest multiplicator gets way less cooldown because of this. For the last epic Mystic Enchant, I go with Swift Execution. This allows us, every time you use Crusader Strike, it reduces the cooldown of Execution Sentence by 3 seconds. It also increases the damage of Crusader Strike on targets in execute phase below 35% health by 20%. For rare Mystic Enchants, I go with Seals of the Pure first. This increases the damage of our Seal of Righteousness, Seal of Vengeance or Corruption and their Judgment by 15%. We judge a lot, so great enchant. Glyph of Vengeance to get 10 expertise while we use the Seal of Vengeance. This allows us to get way more strength and crit from our equipment. Divine Strength, 15% more strength for a roll. Glyph of Judgment, 10% more judgment damage, so we go even more into this. Holy Wrath for 15 seconds less cooldown on Holy Wrath. Glyph of Exorcism for 20% more damage on Exorcism. And Light's Hammer, Artifact Mystic Enchant, another hitting AoE spell. If you don't want to use Sword of Vengeance, viable options are Fierce Vengeance for another stack on Vengeance, 3% more holy and physical damage. Consecrated Seal increases our holy damage by 6%, or Consecrated Weapon, which gives us 6% more melee crit and restores 5% base mana every time we attack. We don't really need mana support with this build because we judge so often Judgment of Wisdom with Execution Sentence that we have enough mana regeneration going on, so we don't really need another Mystic Enchant which helps us here. And we can still use Divine Plea if needed. For talents, I use the normal cookie cutter build, Benediction for 10% less mana cost on our instant spellcast, Improved Judgment for 2 seconds decreased cooldown on Judgment, Heart of the Crusader for 3% crit, Improved Blessing of Might for 25% more damage. This is really good if you don't have a warrior in your raid who has improved shouts. This allows us to get up 290 attack power because of Blessing of Might. If you don't want to use it, you can go with Divine Purpose, which reduces the chance you get hit and allows you to remove stuns with Blessing of Freedom. Conviction for 6% more crit, Seal of Command, Pursuit of Justice for more movement speed and less chance to get hit, Sanctity of Battle for 3% more crit and more damage for Exorcism and Crusader Strike, Crusade for 3% more damage overall and another 3% against specific enemies. This will get buffed with the next update as well for more damage. Sanctified Retribution for 3% more damage for everyone affected by your auras, 200 weapons back for 6% more damage, Enchants for another damage buff for holy and physical damage, Art of War, which increases our damage of our hitting spells, as well as allows us to use Exorcism instant, Repentance, Judgment of the Wise. This is really good, especially with Execution Sentence, because it allows us to get so much mana back for ourselves and our raid. Fanaticism for less threat and more crit on Judgment, Sanctified Wrath for more damage of Hammer of Wrath during rings and more damage overall, Promise of the Crusader for 10% more crit and chance to hit with Exorcism, Swift Retribution for more haste for everyone affected by your auras, Death of Light to funnel our attack power into spell power, Righteous Vengeance for a ticking dot, and Divine Storm. For gear, I use Lionheart Helm of Expert Might, Strength and Expertise as secondary stats here, really good. Alder Marcus Pendant for crit and spell penetration. As you know, we need 60 spell penetration as Retribution Paladin to get to our cap of spell pen, which is about 60, for no mitigation of our holy damage on targets higher than level 63. Black Dragon Scale Shoulders of Strength, I use them here. Shroud of Domination for more strength and crit. I swap to the Blood Soul Breastplate here of Expert Strikes with Agility and Expertise as secondary stats. Those are not our perfect secondary stats. You want either Strength and Expertise or Strength and Crit as your secondary stats, but I got them and I use it because it's a lot of crit. Embraces of the Sadist for more Strength and Crit. Sulphurous in the heroic version here. Libram of Amphibious Devotion. This is still our best in slot Libram, it seems like, even after the nerfs, especially in Molten Core with the weakness to frost damage of targets. You can also use the Archive Record of Inquisition. If you like Expertise, for example, you can get this from Mythic Plus Dungeon Stratholm Live. The Codex of War Arts is also a viable option now with Strength and Haste and an attack power boost every time you use Exorcism and use up your Art of War. But overall, this Libram is still our best in slot. I use for trinkets the Eternal Flame artifact in the Ascended version. This gives attack power and a lot of haste, especially when it procs. This means, together with our Mystic Enchant Crusader of the Light, we will have more access to wings during a long boss fight. With this trinket you can use wings 1 or 2 times more during a boss fight, which is a big damage increase, so a really good trinket. Another really good option right now is the new Vial trinket from Atal Sul, the new custom world boss on Bronzebeard, because it has a proc which gives you attack power, crit and armor penetration in a high amount. Also really good if you can get the other trinket. Pips Redstone for spell penetration and crit. Once again, spell penetration from Inscribed Arcane Loop here, which gives also crit and a few other stats here. These 3 items here allows me to get over 60 spell penetration. Band of Sulphurous of Expert Might. This gives me strength and a lot of expertise, so a really good ring. If you don't have this, other good options are everything, which gives you crit and strength, of course, and you need to get to 16 expertise. I have 20 here, you need only 16. Because together with Seal of Vengeance you will get 26, which is your cap. I use the Black Dragon Scale Boots of Swift Might here because I crafted them together with the shoulders here with Strength and Haste as secondary stats. Also the Titanic Leggings of Swift Might with Strength and Haste here. This gives me crit and hit. Onslaught Girdle, Strength and hit and crit once again. And the Dark Iron Gauntlets of the Beast with agility and attack power here. Not optimal, but good enough. If you're looking for a more affordable gear setup, you can look into my last Twist of Faith video, my latest update for 2026, where I show really good options for gear from Mythic Dungeons. Some of them are even better than what I'm wearing here, for example the Black Dragon Scale Shoulders or the boots here. You can find this in this video if you don't want to spend a lot of gold for crafted gear. For rotation, we have different priority orders depending on if execution sentence is active or on cooldown and if we are on execute phase or not. With this setup, you want to use Seal of Vengeance for a single target and Seal of Command for AoE scenarios. You can also use Seal of Vengeance in AoE scenarios if you use Sword of Vengeance because of the splash damage, but I would suggest to only use this build on single target. It's not that good on AoE scenarios compared to other builds. Your priority order, if you are using a Mystic Enchant which supports Consecration, like Consecrated Seal or Consecrated Weapon, you always start with Consecration. Otherwise, you can use the priority order I tell you now. So first, if you use Execution Sentence and it's not on cooldown, your priority order goes like this. You start the fight with Execution Sentence, Judgment, Exorcism, Holy Wrath, Divine Storm, Crusader Strike, Consecration, Hammer of Light. You will notice that you can use Judgment 3 times during one Execution Sentence, so make use of it anytime you can inside the priority order. When your Execution Sentence is on cooldown, your priority order changes a little bit. You now want to use Judgment, Crusader Strike to reduce the cooldown, Exorcism, Holy Wrath, Divine Storm, and when it's up, go again with Execution Sentence, otherwise Consecration, Light's Hammer. On AoE scenarios, as I told you before, not the best build for it, but if you want to use it, go with Execution Sentence, Judgment, Holy Wrath, Consecration, Judgment again, Divine Storm, Light's Hammer when it's up, otherwise Crusader Strike, Judgment again, Consecration, Exorcism at the end. On Execute phase, your priority system changes a little bit. You now want to start once again with Execution Sentence, Judgment, now Hammer of Wrath, Crusader Strike, Judgment again when it's up, Exorcism, Holy Wrath, Hammer of Wrath every time it's up, as well as Judgment, then Divine Storm, Consecration, and Light's Hammer. Make sure to always use Execution Sentence when it's up, Judgment when it's up, Hammer of Wrath when it's up, and Crusader Strike when it's up. You use your ring during Bloodlust or Heroism, or at the start of the fight if you can use it there and it takes a time. Heroism or Bloodlust will be activated. Use Divine Plea if needed for mana if you need mana back. So how is Execution Sentence overall? This build can feel a bit clunky to play if you don't line up your Execution Sentence and Judgment cooldowns perfectly, and overall after some testing I did about 1k DPS less with it compared to Twist of Faith and Seal Twisting. This is definitely not our best build, but if you want to have fun playing it, go for it. So let me know what you think about the latest balance patch for Paladins and Execution Sentence. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. If you found this useful, consider to like and subscribe for more World of Warcraft Ascension Bronzebeard content. Special thanks goes out to my channel members who support me with their hard-earned real-life money, especially channel members who support me for a long time now, or are high-tier supporters like Flagel, Kello Victor, Nick Hank, Don Kistel, Puppy Smile, and of course my high-tier supporters Soulso3, Jake Collis, Penguin625 and Icecorn.